One of the occupiers inside of the business building occupation, Aaron Salazar.
Thank you. So my main point today is that we're paying for these budget cuts, and every day that we don't protest, we're paying more and more. Every day that we don't have a sit-in or a rally or a protest that says that we're against them, the more they come down on us. They're charging us $8,000 for occupying this building. Last semester, fall 2009, they charged us $1,000 extra just for coming to school. So every day that we don't protest, we're having to pay outrageous fines. And it's political protests like Occupations that fueled the civil rights movement and that got us an ethnic studies college here on this campus. So that's why we did it, because it works. It has in the past and it will in the future. And we're asking for the administration to understand the reasons why we occupied, to enter into an educational experience with us. We're not asking them to kick us out of school, because what does that teach us? That just teaches us to be indignant toward the administration. And that's not what we want, and that's not what they want either. We don't want Halston to be kicked out of school. He's trying to defend education, and so he shouldn't be denied an education at the same time. The punishments can be better. We can have a more democratic solution being reached, and we can all agree on a more equitable solution. Thank you.
And it's not just students that have spoken out against these disciplinary measures, which we feel are unjust. I'd like to present our next speaker, which is Ann Robertson, a faculty professor here on this university, who's worked with us in helping us get a letter passed through the California Faculty Association, the largest teachers union in California. And she's going to share some of the words that they had to say about this whole process.
On April 27th, the California Faculty Association had a membership meeting. There were 73 people at the meeting, and even though none of us were enthusiastic about the occupation, we voted unanimously to support the students in the face of the unjust discipline the administration has been pursuing in relationship to them. The students are entirely prepared to accept responsibility for any damages they might have accidentally inflicted on the building. But we in CFA believe that the administration should equally take responsibility for the errors it has committed and now do the right thing. For example, a representative of the administration first told students that if they did not immediately sign a statement indicating they would be willing to pay for damages, then they could face suspension. In other words, the students were pressured into signing the statement. Also, the administrator told the students that the damages would run in the area of $50 to cover quote-unquote chipped paint and scuffs on the floor. Then 10 of the 11 students proceeded to sign the statement, only later to be told that they were being billed $744. In other words, the administration made an oral agreement with the students and then proceeded to break it. There was one student who refused to sign the statement, but chose instead to exercise his democratic right to have a hearing. Yet because he did that, and even though he did nothing different than any of the other students, he is now not only being fined the $744, but he is being suspended from the university for an entire year. So our message from CFA to the administration is this: when you make an agreement with students, you have an obligation to keep the agreement. Otherwise, you're sending a message to the students that you are not required to abide by basic rules of fairness, and therefore the student should only be required to pay a fine in the range of $50. Secondly, the one student who exercised his right to have a hearing should not be punished for doing this. Since he did nothing different from the other students, his punishment should be no greater than theirs. We are asking here for just basic, decent justice. Third, we find suspending a student from the university, especially one who is trying to defend the university from crippling budget cuts, to to be contrary to the goals that unite us as a university community. We believe that the university contributes not only to the cognitive development of our students, but to their moral development as well. Severing them from the university will not make them better people, but worse people. And that is not in the students' interest, it's not in the university's interest, and it's not in society's interest. And for this reason, we call on the administration to rescind its suspension. Thank you very much.
I wanted to thank Ann for speaking. And just to sort of show what kind of campus San Francisco State University is, it's one that really has a network with the community. And maybe perhaps that's the only activism that the administration deems reasonable. But what we have here is a representative from Local 2 that's about to speak. That is to show sort of that the students involved in the occupation were not only involved in the occupation, but also do have made a very conscious effort to reach out into the community, as many of the students on this campus have. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Alfonso Pines from Local 2.
My name is Alfonso, and I come from Local 2. We have a tradition of fighting. We're fighting hotel owners right now in San Francisco. San Francisco State has a history, a long tradition of fighting, and that's why a lot of people come here. This country was built on people protesting, so it's not time to now stop doing what we're being taught. As a union representative, we're taught one principle that discipline should be corrective, not punitive. You should not, and all discipline should be equal. One person should not be given a harsher penalty for doing the same thing that everybody else did. That makes no sense. And when a university representative looks a student in the face and promises something and orally agrees to something, they should not go back on their word. What are we teaching our kids? We're not doing that. The other thing too I'd like to bring up, I haven't seen the and I like unions. Trust me, I love unions, but I have never seen the prison guard union on strike. You know, they got enough money for jails, but they don't have enough money for education. So I think this country and this state is mixed up, and the whole budget is mixed up. But I think we should honor people like Hofstad who's standing up and fight, because it really is like in a union campaign, and a union organizer committee, union organizers where workers are trying to get a union, they normally go after the leaders. They go after the leaders and try to cut their head off and to scare everybody else. What message is San Francisco State sending here? It's not a message that we in Local 2 agree with, and I'm here to tell you that our union will support the students of San Francisco State, the leaders of San Francisco State, for what, as long as it takes, for whatever they need. All they need to do is pick up the phone and call. We will be here. Thank you.
Just a few quotes from the official brochure of San Francisco